Hi, I'm Ben.
And I'm Ernie.
And this is Budget Nerds.
What was all in your mind?
You are not.
No, you are not. Well, Ernie, today we're talking about Rule 2 again. Embrace your true expenses. But I want to take it a step further because when we talk about embracing your true expenses, we talk about saving money for non-monthly expenses, expecting them, right? But it's always still kind of a bummer to spend money on those things. And we always acknowledge that. We're like, nobody likes to do a car repair. What if you could really embrace them? Like really embrace them, saying I actually like spending money on these things. Okay, that's what I want to try to get toward today. Yeah.
I love this idea. You wrote a blog post on it. I read through that. I'm like, this is going to be a fantastic discussion because this is something that I deal with regularly, especially when the sums of money are very large, right? You watch all these category balances go down, and it's something that we hear from the YNAB community all the time. Paying for those true expenses, whether big or small, almost feels deflating at times. Like you just did something wrong or you screwed up. And if we can shift the mindset there, boy, that's going to be a game changer, I think.
Yeah. I think I was just thinking hard about the rules and I did an Instagram live. It's the Budget Nerds loop, guys. I've told you about now that I'm a writer. I'm doing Instagram lives and I'm writing blogs. So it's just all feeds each other. But I was just thinking hard about Rule 2 and embrace your true expenses. Like give them a little hug, like a literal embrace. And that means actually loving them, So the blog was called How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love My True Expenses, which is a Dr. Strangelove reference that nobody gets. Do you even know what I'm referencing there?
I don't understand that reference. I'm sorry.
I feel like I was I'm going to make this clever blog title. Everybody's going to, very few people get through. There is a movie. It's a dark comedy movie from the 60s. I think it's in black and white. It's maybe even earlier. I don't know. Called Dr. Strangelove. Have you seen this? Have you heard of this? Oh my gosh, it's so funny.
No.
It is so funny. It's a great movie, and it's about so the full title of the movie is Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. Okay. And it's about nuclear war. It's a comedy about nuclear war. And that's what it's called. So this is called How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love My True Expenses. So
okay, I love it. But I'm going to have to take your word that it's an awesome movie.
If you know what I'm referencing here, please tell me. Is there anybody else that has seen this movie that is still living? I want to know. I think my dad just really liked it, and I watched it because of that. So, but I do love the movie. Anyways, so that's what it's referencing. And I want to not just prepare for non-monthly expenses, but I want to actually love those things that go wrong, because they bring good things into our life. So that's what I'm going after here.
Okay. Well, before we dive deep into that, let's set the stage with the Rule 2, the Habit 2, true expenses, because there's a lot of YNABers who they're just starting with YNAB today, and they're thinking, what are true expenses? They're the non-monthly things that you don't spend money on all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. If you grab somebody off the street, that's what I always say. If you grab somebody off the street and say, what are your expenses? They'll probably just list their rent, their groceries, their monthly things.
Yeah.
But we often forget about the car repairs and the yearly subscriptions, things that don't happen every month. They're not so urgent.
Yep.
They're not in our face. They're easy to forget or even just kind of ignore because they're not right there. They're not happening tomorrow, And so we set money aside for those things, right?
And it's a game changer because when you're getting paid, you're thinking about everything. Mm-hmm. You're not just thinking about those expenses in front of you for this month. You're thinking future you. So when you start taking current money and putting it into the future, you have everything covered. It just becomes smooth sailing. Rule 2, habit 2 is my absolute favorite. It's what sold me on YNAB, and it's what continues to sell me to this day.
Yeah, I still think rule 3 is my favorite, but yeah, I do love rule 2. So it's just so good, especially when it comes to fruition. I think man, I wish there was a way, and maybe I don't wish there was a way, because I feel like I'm like wishing harm on our trialers here. But like, I just wish there was a way for people to feel the visceral joy of following this habit of setting money aside every month, like right away. Because I feel like you don't really feel it until like 6 months down the road when you have a car repair or something. That's I always say car repair because that's what it was for me. I remember.
Right.
I remember that feeling the first time.
So do I.
Where I just paid the bill and didn't worry about it. It's like amazing. So,
and that feeling does not go away. We just had a YNABer email us this morning. I don't know if you saw this, Ben, sharing a YNAB win where they've been setting money aside for like kid stuff and this car seat, because you know, we were lamenting about car seats and how they're the worst thing in the world. You know, you always have to buy a new size.
Yeah. And yeah, no, you can't like sell it used.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, like you could, but like, you know, it's dubious.
Right. So you're stuck buying these stupid things. And yes, they serve a purpose. I shouldn't say that they're stupid, because they're good.
Well, that's the point of the of the video today, right?
It's frustrating. And this YNABer has been setting money aside and had it to buy these new car seats that were on sale. And I followed up and I said, because they were mentioning just how good that felt. And I'm like, that feeling does not go away. You know, I've been using YNAB 10 plus years, and I still get a rush when I buy like a year's worth of furnace filters, money that I've been setting aside. And it's the stupidest purchase, but I'm like, this is really cool that I'm able to do this. But yeah, we don't get that feeling all the time with the true expenses. There's that dread, or, you know, like I feel deflated because I spent that money. So I think it's good to unpack this and figure out how we can kind of maybe change our mindsets there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's still a thing. Even if you're saving for it, you still feel bad when you have to release that money. So embracing your true expenses means setting money aside for them, but I think it could also be grateful. It can mean being grateful for those things too. Like you mentioned the furnace filters, you are grateful, I assume, for having a house that doesn't have a bunch of like dust in the air, right? That's what furnace filters do, right? They make it so there's no dust in the air. I don't know.
Yeah, and also I mean, that's a big part of it, but it's also this preventative maintenance. Like I try to take care of my stuff. I don't buy a whole lot of it, but the stuff I have, I want to take care of. And especially with a house, you know, I view this as an asset that maybe someday we can pull some equity from in some sort of way or pass it on. And so I want the value to keep going up to, you know, I don't want it to fall apart on me.
Right.
So I'm glad that I can take care of it.
It's bringing good things to you. Yeah. You know, it brings you shelter, and it brings you, like a home base for your home. And it's heated, so you don't die in the Midwestern winters, right?
Except this winter. We're getting into the 40s today.
Well, I feel like talk about it 2 weeks ago, you were like turned into a popsicle, right? So, I mean, who knows? But seriously, it's just these things bring good things into our lives, and I think the reason why we can't see that when we're paying for these things is because it's always because something goes wrong. You know, when something unexpected comes up, and I think we have this feeling, or I guess this expectation, that we shouldn't have to pay for the car repairs or the home repairs or whatever else broke. Like that shouldn't happen. And like, maybe it shouldn't, but like, I think if you can change your mindset and say, okay, everything that I have is going to require maintenance, and just expect it. And instead of saying, oh, that shouldn't have happened, just be like, oh, that happens.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you can compare those two things, like these things bring good things to my life and they require maintenance, and that's just a fact that I'm going to accept fully, like really accept, right? then you could actually be grateful for spending money on it. Right? Maybe?
Yes, definitely. And this is something that I just encountered this morning. We're recording this on February 1st. So, me along with all these other YNABers, we're creating our February spending plans. And I got to auto maintenance. I assigned $150 to auto maintenance. I looked at what I have available and I liked that number. It made me feel good.
Okay.
But right away, I told myself, I am spending this money because I remember the last time or maybe 2 times ago that I took the van in, they were preparing me for some upcoming scheduled maintenance. So more than just an oil change here. So, few $100, they didn't give me a price, maybe 500, 600, I don't know, but I know that I'm going to be spending that money. I'm going to watch that category balance go down. And it's like in that moment, I just braced myself that I'm going to be spending this money. That balance is going to go down, and that is okay. That is exactly why I'm setting money aside. So I can do these kind of preventative maintenance and have a vehicle that I trust and enjoy.
Love that. Yeah. You take care of the things that take care of you, right?
There we go.
Your car, your house. I'm sure there's other examples. Your health. I mean, take care of your body. I mean, these are all things that we feel like is a bummer when we spend, but like they actually bring good things into our life. So we should be excited. I mean, maybe not excited. I don't know. Maybe like just like content to maintain them. You know what I mean?
And I think it might be difficult because surrounding those circumstances, there are other negative emotions. I mean, take, for example, the car repair. That's just so easy to talk about, right? Like something goes wrong with your vehicle. You're frustrated that something went wrong because now, maybe you don't know what's going wrong. So you're confused, you're uncertain. Maybe there's a little bit of worry or anxiety. It's going to take time. You have to go somewhere to get it diagnosed and possibly fixed. And so how can I fit that into my schedule? And maybe you just don't like getting your vehicle repaired, going and waiting and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's also the time you have to spend too. I mean, tomorrow I need to get a state inspection and I have a headlight that's out, stuff like that. And I also need to get my tires rotated, which always takes forever. That actually is free. At this place I go, rotates my tires for free because they hope that I'll buy my tires there, which I do, right?
Okay.
But it takes flipping forever. So I'd rather pay money and have the time back, have them repair it. Because I know it doesn't take long. They just I think they just don't prioritize it because it's free. And I only have one car, so I have to sit there, it's weird. Anyways.
Yeah. So what I'm getting at here is we might already be spiraling based on all these other things and emotions. Yeah. But then when it comes to the money, it's almost like we want to keep that downward spiral going.
Yeah, because I was literally just doing it by spending another finite resource time. But actually, I want my tires to be not raw because I rotated them because my car, we'll get into this. My car the alignment is shot to ribbon, so I have to rotate it often. And but that's good because I don't want to have a blowout on the side of the road and get in a car accident. And I want to be able to have reliable transportation. So it's worth spending money on. It's worth spending time on too.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's good. It's a good thing.
So how do we do this?
I mean,
is it simply just a conversation with yourself?
I think so. I mean, I do think that. I mean, I wrote the blog, but I still have these feelings. I don't think it's ever really going to go away completely. This feeling of being annoyed having to spend money on these things. I mean,
sure.
maybe you'll reach nirvana and you'll just be like, I do not care about anything. Nothing hurts me. But it's probably always going to annoy you. But I think it's just a conversation with yourself. If you find yourself I think spiraling is the good word that you used. Because even if you save for non-monthly, you're not spiraling because you're in a panic, a financial meltdown situation. But you're still spiraling because you're I'm so annoyed. It's emotional. It's not a financial problem. It's an emotional problem. So if you find yourself in that emotional problem, even though you're following rule 2, have that conversation with yourself. Say like, no, I actually value this thing, and I know I value it because I'm spending money on it. Right? If you didn't value it, you just wouldn't spend any money on it. Like that's a fact, right?
Yep.
And kind of lead your emotions toward leaning toward contentment as much as you can. And by acknowledging that these things are going to break, they require maintenance, and they bring good things to your life, and you value them, and then you feel better about spending money on it. So I think it's almost like a mindfulness thing. I don't think it's like you arrive at, I no longer am upset when something unexpected happens. It's just when you get upset, it's like, let's change my mindset so I can deal with those emotions.
A tool you can use. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Something I was brought to my mind is a language change. So I'm rereading Atomic Habits by James Clear, and I'm at the part in the book where he's talking about making habits attractive. And he's suggesting this shift from I have to I get to.
Mm. Yeah, I love that.
So it goes from a burden to an opportunity.
Yeah.
I get to pay for this car repair, right? That is an opportunity to maybe for me remember I value having workable vehicles.
Yeah. And how fortunate are you not only to have it, but to have the money to take care of it? You know?
Exactly.
Like think about that. That's
a
awesome.
Place of gratitude.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't want to be like overly saccharine and be like, be happy when your heater blows out, you know, like, but I do want to be like, let's not just wallow in the negative emotions, but like use a tool of acknowledging that the good things it brings to your life and acknowledging that, yeah, you know, when you have stuff, you have to maintain stuff, you know. That's part of it.
Yeah, I think that's super helpful because it's just something, maybe it's my personality, but it's something I encounter on a regular basis. You know, especially as the dollar values go up. Like when we spent, thousands of dollars, I think with the fence that we put in for Ridge, like it was all said and done, like $8,000.
You've had a lot of angst about that.
I did because I think it was managing expectations.
Yeah.
Going into the project, I had a really small number because we were going to do a really small fence. And then we're like, hey, let's do the entire backyard. And then we were like, hey, we can't find any of the posts at the corner of the lots because of the previous owner.
You think a fence, I had the same experience. Like you think a fence isn't that expensive, but like it is. It costs a lot of money. Especially if you want it to look like even almost good. Like I have a fence that I put up myself with like farm fencing because I wanted to do a huge area and it looks awful. Like if I ever sell this place, I think I'm gonna have to rip it out because like it's atrocious. But I still love it because my dog, I like watch my dog just like lollygag in the woods, you know, and not be in danger. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and the fence wasn't for me. It was completely for Ridge, our dog, and it does look really good. I like it, but it was a lot of money and it required a lot of rolling with the punches. So I quickly watched all of these category balances go down, and that just it was deflating, and I don't like those feelings, you know, and it happens enough for me where I do need a tool where, okay, I need to change this around because I don't want to sit in this funk for a couple weeks. And what I did to kind of change things up is I made a fresh budget after that. You know, I'm just like, I need to reorganize some things and basically show myself that, hey, I'm going to be all right. We're fine.
I like that. Yeah. Just kind of reset everything because you had a big expense and you're like, everything's messed up. Let's just restart.
But I could have just, even simpler, instead of creating that fresh start, let's just, really think through, this is a value. And just being able to watch Ridge run around as much as he wants. He can sniff all day if he wants to. Like, he loves it. He loves being able to have that fence. And we love the freedom it gives us. We don't have to be attached to a leash with him.
Yeah. And you can get him exercise without, needing to like walk him yourself. And
so there's,
of course, you still do that too. But
huge value there. And I was just allowing the negative emotions to kind of shield me from that and turn this expense into something that I actually truly enjoy.
I think that animals are a really good example of like something that you spend money on for somebody else, but it's really for yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Ridge brings you joy, and spending money on him, it sounds like Chrissy like gets this intuitively. Maybe not for you. Spending money on him is spending money on you too, you know, because it comes back to you.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Well, and that's the other piece too. Like, it reminds you of the people in your lives. You know, especially if you're using YNAB with a partner, we talk about this in the workshops all the time, the 3 sets of priorities, right? There's yours, mine, and ours. So there are things that as a couple you spend money on where you're like, why are we doing this? You know, but like,
right. Because it's their priority,
it's
not
their
yours.
priority, and that matters just as much. And we ran into this the other week, a few weeks ago. It was one of our boys' birthdays, and we ordered this ice cream cake. and birthdays to me are low priority. Like, I just like keeping them simple, even my own. Just let's keep it simple.
Yeah.
But Christy values birthdays, and so she likes spending a lot of money on these, making them really special. So we bought this ice cream cake, and I made a few comments about the price of this ice cream cake. And she's just
that's like the Cadillac of cakes. You know? That's like,
yes.
You start putting ice cream in there, it's a whole different situation.
My goodness.
And it's the best dessert. I mean, well, it's definitely not the best dessert, but it's a better cake. I'd rather have that than a sheet cake, that's for sure.
It is so good.
Yeah.
But my goodness, are they expensive? And Christy kindly reminded me that, hey, this is a priority. And I was like,
there you go.
Oh yeah, totally. Right. So, you know, we're setting money aside, not just for me and my things or our things, but for things that are important to you as well.
Okay.
Helps me think outside of myself.
That's a whole other dimension of, because we're not talking about true expenses here. We're talking about things that you might not value, but you do value the people you're spending the money on. I mean, kids too would be a good example.
Perfect example.
Yeah. Or anybody. I mean, you spend money on friends or on, like an older relative or anything. I mean, you value the relationship, so your money flows toward it.
Yes.
You know,
and that's something I remind myself often with Ridge, because Christy was the one who really wanted to bring Ridge home, and I have grown to love Ridge and appreciate him.
You're like the classic dad who's like, no dog.
Right.
And then you're best friends with the dog.
Right. But I would still put Ridge in Christy's priority group, right? I haven't really brought him over to ours yet. And so I just remind myself, as we put all this money aside every single month, no, this is for Christy, right? Because I love her, I appreciate her, and I want her priorities to matter in the spending plan just as much as mine and just as much as ours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You take care of the things that take care of you. You take care of the people that take care of you.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? That's good. Well, I thought we could do some stories, some personal examples. I wrote down, I just went through my reports. I actually looked at my spending report, Ernie, and I looked at the trends, and I clicked on all the ones that had big, tall, bars, and I looked at what the expenses were for the last year. So I have a list of that. And you have some from last year and also from before. So I thought maybe we could go through some of our big expenses and then reframe them. Let's get riled up about it and then use the tool to, to turn our emotions. How's that?
Well, I'm going to start with my first one, and I'm not going to get riled up because I never was riled up about this one, because it was the first time I was able to pay for a car repair without creating any new debt. Our first minivan was a 1996 Honda Odyssey. We bought it for like $2,100, I think, and it had 200,000 plus miles on it.
Nice.
So we knew that we were going to have to do repairs on this thing. But up to that point, at least according to my memory, we weren't always able to pay for those repairs. So I think it was like a $200 repair came up with the exhaust system, and we had the money set aside. And I still, you mentioned being able to remember that feeling. I can still remember that feeling of handing the mechanic my card. I don't know if it's debit or credit, but being able to pay for that thing in full. It was, I remember it was a winter night. It was just getting dark out, And I felt like such a boss. And I mean,
I
we're talking
bet.
$200 here, but I had never been able to do that before.
Yeah, yeah. You'd always have to use debt or something like that, or borrow from family, or that kind of
And
thing.
the story goes that I just drove home, then 2 miles home with this massive permagrin on my face because I was
love
just
that.
so amped up at being able
And
to.
that's just like the being grateful for the satisfaction of being able to handle it.
Yes.
That's something too to consider.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then as time went on, I wanted to, put my fists, my hands around those dollars and hold on to them a little bit more. So now I can
Right.
start getting riled up and then we can talk me down.
I think maybe it's like when you start accumulating money, it's fun, and then when you spend it, it's like, oh man, like that's a bummer. But that's what it's for.
Yeah,
Like the money's
that's
meant
what
to be
it's
spent.
for.
That's why you put it there. Yeah. Well, since we're talking about cars, I'll talk about. I was mousing over those tall bars and saw probably one of the biggest one for last year was I had to spend over $3,000 on my car. It was basically a body shop work because several years ago, Caitlin was driving the van, and I don't even remember what happened, but there was this situation. She had to swerve, and she had to swerve back. It was like a scary situation. She had she could have been in an accident. So I'm grateful she wasn't. And she hit a curb real hard, and we had to like replace the two rims on that side. Everything seemed to be fine. Well, it wasn't fine. And I really wish, here's the part that riles me up though, is like, this was 2 years ago or so. I really wish I just filed an insurance claim. Because if I had all the stuff I paid for now, I would have been able to probably put on insurance because it's all related to that accident. The frame of the back was just all jacked up. And I realized this because I bought tires, and then like literally a year later, I had to buy tires again because the alignment was just
Wow.
done. Like it was just like I'm like driving down the road like this, you know what I mean? And I kind of could tell, but like I didn't, and I brought it to like an alignment shop, and they're just like, we can't do it. You need to replace all the things. And I did. We were this big old, basically the back axle had to be, I don't know what it was. Anyways, the mechanic showed me, he's like, here's the thing that we replaced. And it's like a big piece of metal. So big piece of metal had to be replaced, $3,000. And then like multiple tries to align it again. And then there's like something else, there's tie rod, there's other things that need to be replaced. It was a whole saga over like several months. Overall, I probably spent like $3 or $4 on fixing this stinking thing. And I'm mad about it because the car's only worth like $6,000 probably. It's like, yeah, it's like your minivan that you bought. It's got almost 200,000 miles on it. It's 2005. So I'm riled up about this now, thinking about it. But I love that van. Like the memories in that van, like the conversations, the just I mean, what would I do without it? Like I live in rural America, for goodness sakes. Like like I have to drive, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I love the car, and it's okay to spend money
And
on
you
it,
didn't,
and it's fine.
it didn't force you to buy a new one. Sometimes
Right,
I think
that's
people get stuck in that spot of, I have to make this massive repair. Let's just buy a new one instead.
I did have that thought a lot of times but it was tough though, because it wasn't like if you get like a repair, like, oh, here's one repair and it's clearly the cost of the car. It's like, okay, it makes sense to buy a new one instead of it's totaled, right? But this was like a little bit here and a little bit and a lot of bit here and then a little bit more. It never amounted to more than the car was worth. But you're right. I didn't have to buy a new car. I don't want to. I like the van. It's fine. I'm not trying to impress anybody. So it's fine. I'd rather just take care of it and let it last as long as it can.
Yeah.
Because the fact is, if you buy a new car, especially if you have payments on the car, I mean, like, it's a lot of people don't recognize, like, it's still, you still have to maintain the car. Like it's people are like, oh, I'm going to get a brand new car because I don't want to do the auto maintenance. Like, well, no, new cars break down too. Okay. Like maybe not as much, but like they do, they really do. Anyways. So I'm grateful for the van. I'm grateful that I'm no longer driving down the road like this. It's the alignment's still off. Like it's never gonna be there. Like it's never gonna be right on. So I need to. So that's why I told you I'm going to rotate the tires tomorrow. It's like I'm rotating it like all the dang time. So there you go. Whew. I got riled up, didn't I? But I feel okay.
I like a good riled up Ben.
Am I tricking myself? Am I actually still upset about it? But I'm telling myself I'm not.
No, you could be, but
no, I think it's genuine.
Yeah, but
I think both are there.
Both are there.
Bit. Yeah.
And you're using a tool. Like, am I never going to get mad at my kids? No, I'm going to get mad at them as soon as I'm done recording this episode. Like, that's just a given. But if I can have tools to then calm me down,
be like, actually, I love these little kiddos, you know? And yeah, so it's just like, acknowledge that you're annoyed, but also acknowledge that you want to spend money on these things. It's okay.
Yeah.
You know.
So my story, another one.
Sorry, I talked for like half an hour about it.
No, don't worry. I'll cover this story in like 20 seconds. We created a will recently.
Okay.
And something we've been putting off for a really, really long time. Now I know you can do these cheap. You can do these probably even free online, I think I've heard. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to sit down with an attorney and create a will. And so that's what I did. It was a number of hundreds of dollars and super boring. Like, I didn't get mad, but my goodness, there are a million other things I would have rather spent that money on. Like, easily a million. But I am grateful that I was able to take care of the family that way. If anything were to happen to me or happen to both Christy and I, something happened, like there's something set up in place where tragedy strikes and it's going to be easy for my family. That's what I want because I'm a planner.
That's just a loving act.
Loving
act. That's just a sweet, kind thing. Yeah. Just like have everything all set. I need to update my will because I'm pretty sure only my oldest 2 kids are on there. So it's been a while. So yeah, I need to do that too because you're right. It's just like, well, first of all, it's satisfying for yourself now because you have all your ducks in a row, but it's also just a kind, loving thing to do for the people that are left after you're gone. So,
and I think there was a part of me too that was like annoyed with myself that I did want to sit down with an estate planning attorney, like almost. Why can't I sit down and figure it out online? Or that be good enough for me? And I think it's worth it for just the peace of mind. That's the thing. I'm like, I want peace of mind. And, my parents have their will with this attorney. And so it simplified everything across the board. I'm like, this is a value to me. So yes, I would rather spend this money somewhere else. And it'd be great if I could save money. But you know what? It helps me. It helps my family. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of things in life like that where it's like, it's always going to nag at you if you don't take care of it, Like, okay, I'm going to group 3 things into home maintenance, but they're all those nagging things, okay? And some of these aren't true expenses, but they are like home improvements that like really need to happen. One was insulation for the attic because we basically had like no insulation in the attic. Like it was old and it was just, it just was barely anything. So that was a pretty penny, but like that had been nagging at me since 2005 when we moved into this house, or not 2015 when we moved into this house. Right. Like it's just, I always knew it was a problem. And I always knew every time I paid an electric bill, because we have electric heat and air conditioning, I always had this like feeling I'm spending too much because there's no insulation in the attic. You know what I mean? Like that was nagging at me. And then I paid a plumber to fix like this leaky stuff that everything's leaky. The whole world's leaky. And everything's leaking. And like, it was so satisfying because every time I paid the water bill and I actually saw it, like the water bill is going up and up and up because like I'm throwing water on the ground. I'm like throwing money on the ground. Right. So like that was like a nagging thing too. And then I also took down a tree, shout out to the tree category, which still needs to be a thing. You know what? Right now, I'm opening up Todoist. We have a list of things to talk about. And I'm creating a thing in our budget meeting items list called tree category. Right now, we're going to talk about it tomorrow.
This mindset shift, Ben, is changing you through and through. Look at you taking action on YNAB right away.
We're going to talk about it and probably not do anything, but we're going to talk about it. No, seriously. Yeah, $1,500 to take down this tree, which actually was a pretty good price. Because it's one of those things like there's tree people in the neighborhood anyway, and then like they're like, hey, I can cut you a deal because like they get like a small job and they're like, it's not worth it to me to just do that one job, so I can cut you a deal if we can do that. So I got a pretty good price on this because it's a massive tree and it was dead as a doornail. Like this poor tree, I've been watching it for like 3 years, and like 1 year it had like a little bit of leaves and it's like maybe it's gonna make it, and then the next year it had like tiny, like one little branch that had leaves on it, and the next year had nothing, and I'm like, all right, this is done. And it was so dead that they couldn't climb it up. You know, they climb up there with their chains. These people are amazing. Tree cutters, tree surgeons, whatever they're called. Man, if you're a tree surgeon in the comments, like, let us know so I can talk about how cool you are. Respect. Like, I think it's literally the most dangerous job. Like as far as like mauling yourself. Anyways, dangerous. You're climbing around trees with a chainsaw. Like, it's crazy. It's insane.
In one hand.
It's insane. Anyways, I love watching them do that because it's so cool. But I loved watching them because they couldn't climb the tree because it was so rotted because I waited too long that they had to just chop it down and let it fall. And honestly, it was worth $1,500 just to watch that tree fall over because it was so awesome. I was like watching and I went like, woo! When it fell. It was so fun. So anyways, but the nagging feeling of like, this tree's going to fall in my house. This tree's going to fall in my house and murder us in our sleep. Very happy to pay the money to take care of that. Yeah. So like all these things that were just like nagging at you and like messing with your head, the peace of mind when you pay for it is so worth it. So even though it's annoying to take care of these things, I'm grateful for them, you know?
Yeah, you got to keep your family safe.
Yeah. I mean, what's more valuable than that, you know? So
something else that comes up for me regularly, medical expenses. Mm-hmm. We have some ongoing costs, and you know, every so often you're just like, man, if we could just like cut these out, we would have all this extra money and we, you know, put it towards something fun. Mm-hmm. But then when I just kind of stop and like, no, like this money is going towards something that is crucial, right? Like your health is like the most important possible thing in all aspects of your health. And so this is exactly the kind of stuff that I want to be spending my money on.
Yeah. And what annoys me the most is when you go to the doctor and like they're like, hey, nothing's wrong. That'll be $75, you know? It's like, but you get the peace of mind. Like I had to bring my son, my 2-year-old, Gil, into like a specialist because he just had like the skin stuff going on. And we thought he might have allergies. It's not that. It's just normal little boy stuff, and it's dry winter and he's fine. But like, we had the peace of mind of like, hey, we know we took care of our kid here, you know. Mm-hmm. That's huge, even though it costs $130, and that's a little annoying, but it's not when you consider it from the framework of I have peace of mind now because I know I took care of things, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good example. Awesome. Well, I'm looking through my list. I mean, there are a bunch of other things, but I think I hit the highlights. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
No, I hit the highlights as well. And this is something I'm going to keep thinking about because it's going to come up again.
Yeah.
And it's just a tool again.
A tool.
To reframe things.
Yeah. I like that. I like it. I want to rewrite the blog now because I like that, like acknowledging that you are going to be a little annoyed, but you have some tools to reframe it to help you when you do feel that way. And I think it's a good way to think of it.
Should we do a couple YNAB wins?
Yeah, let's do it. have a YNAB win from Brian, who sent us this in an email. And it's like, we picked this one. We don't usually do this, but we picked this one because it's really in line with the theme today. So let's jump in. Brian said, I never imagined I'd be the kind of person to want to shout, I love my budget from the rooftops. I've been using YNAB about 2 months now. I scoffed at the idea of paying for a tool to help me budget, but it must be good if you get a free trial without entering your card info, right? Oh, all right. That's good marketing right there. My budget was kind of messy at first since I had multiple checking accounts as my convoluted budget scheme. But once I figured out the underlying system, everything changed. I'm no longer shrugging at my Costco overspending. I actually have to move dollars around to balance my budget. That right there is the magic of YNAB for me. Pre-YNAB, I really thought I did all of this in my head. I was never an Excel whiz and would absolutely lose patience going through my bank account. Maybe this is why online bank portals are annoying, because banks don't want us on top of our dollars. Anyway, my major YNAB win is falling in love with my money. Ooh, I like that. But not from a materialist standpoint. That's really good. I can finally embrace my dollars as young creatures just looking to party. I love this image so much. And the longer the party, the better. That being said, when my dollars do go off into the sunset, I let them go with pride and appreciation, not guilt and doubt. I can't think of a better image, Brian, for what we're talking about today, where, yeah, you want the money to stay and party with you as long as you can. But when you do spend them, you can spend them with pride and with satisfaction. You know, I think that's great.
That's awesome. And Brian got this way before I ever got it. So I'm 10 years in and I'm finally starting to understand, hey, those are just creatures that want to party. I'm going to send them off with appreciation and joy.
Like I've been saying, money's meant to be spent. So I think the money likes it when it gets spent too. So
yes.
There you go.
My win comes from Eve D. Eve emailed, really long time ago. And this one has been edited. It was pretty long, so I just want to kind of focus it a little bit here. I'm just listening to your latest episode about good old emergency fund versus month ahead. We bought our first house, mortgage free. I don't take this lightly, but in the long, it has helped. At this time last year, which means having to put your big kid pants on and planning ahead with our bills, where we had to factor 3, maybe 4 main annual bills: council rates, house insurance, encroachment fee, whatever that is.
I want to know
house
what that is.
emergency fund / house renovations. That's awesome, because it's all those ongoing, the true expenses that we were talking about that you're taking care of. And even without having the mortgage that, Eve mentioned, still having those costs in mind. So being able to think through them, plan for them, and set money aside every single month, that is a huge win.
Yeah.
I love it.
Just feels good. It's just a good way to live, you know? It's just right. It's just how it should be.
Yes.
So I love it.
Well said. All right, friends, thank you for another episode. We will see you in a couple more weeks.
All right. Happy wine having.
See you, friends.